Most people think housing is about prices. Our strategy thinks housing is about clearing, and clearing is about time, inventory, and carrying costs. This video is framed as a list of cities where prices may fall in 2026, but the real signal is simpler. More homes for sale, more days on market, and more price cuts means the market is moving from shortage to surplus, and surplus forces sellers to compete. Here is the mechanism. In a tight market, the buyer competes. In a loose market, the seller competes. Inventory rising changes who has leverage, and days on market tells us whether demand is absorbing supply fast enough to keep prices stable. When days on market stretches, the next adjustment is not always a headline price cut. It often starts as concessions, rate buydowns, credits, and slower turnover. That is still a price adjustment, just hidden in the terms. Now layer in the second mechanism the video highlights. In parts of Florida, higher insurance and higher property taxes behave like a permanent rate hike. Even if mortgage rates do not move, the all-in monthly payment rises, and that reduces the buyer pool. When migration slows at the same time, demand loses a key support. The third mechanism is rent. If rents fall, investor math breaks first. Cash flows weaken, and the marginal buyer disappears. That is why a rent correction in places like Denver matters as a transmission pathway into home prices, even if the local job market looks fine today. And as you're thinking through all of this, if you want more of these mechanism-first breakdowns where we separate signals from headlines, subscribe to the channel. We focus on what to watch, what would confirm it, and what would invalidate it, so you can build your own read of the cycle with more discipline. Now, back to the framework. Supply decisions made during the boom arrive with a lag, so completions can show up into a different financing regime. That is part of the post-boom pattern the video points to in places like Dallas-Fort Worth, Austin, and several Florida metros. So where does this map in our framework as of March 5, 2026? We treat this as housing phase pressure rising inside late phase 1 conditions, not as an automatic crash call. Our base case is a 65% probability that inventory-led corrections persist through June 2026 in the most supply-exposed metros, with big differences across zip codes. Our next scenario is a 40% probability that the weakness broadens by December 2026, but only if labor softens and credit availability tightens. And our lower probability tail is roughly a 25% chance of a forced selling housing leg by June 2027, which would require a broader credit or funding shock, not merely more listings. Here is what we watch for confirmation: months of supply rising, days on market staying elevated, and price cuts spreading, alongside rent softness, rising delinquencies, and weaker hiring. Here is what would invalidate the bearish interpretation: absorption improves even as listings rise, meaning demand is returning, financing conditions are easing, or both, and the market finds a new clearing level without disorder. Educational only, not financial or real estate advice. The discipline close is this: city lists are narratives, clearing mechanisms are signals. Our strategy stays focused on inventory, time on market, rent direction, and credit. That is how we separate a local reset from a systemic risk.